There is no sound, is there? What happened to the sound?
There's no sound there. And we are live, so
We just tested. There we go.
Your access level has recently increased. Excellent. Incoming message.
Welcome, agents, to episode 55 of Behind the Scanner. Your hosts for tonight are Andrew Krug from Arlington, Virginia, and Jorge Pedrero from Mexico City. Our special guests tonight are Kendra from Johnson City, Tennessee, and Phill Faber from Salt Lake City, Utah. Joining us for the Weekly Truth is Jose Antonio Rey from Operation Essex. And for a look inside the scanner is Fev Games. Welcome to the show. The Q&A tool is enabled for tonight's broadcast. Submit your questions throughout the show, and we'll ask as many as time allows. If you know someone who would make a great guest, submit their information to us at bit.ly/BTS_guest. Finally, you can watch past episodes and subscribe to our channel at youtube.com/behindthescanner. And now, your hosts of Behind the Scanner.
okay, I'm unmuted. Okay, good evening, agents. Thanks, thank you for joining us tonight. Well, before we start this episode 55 of Behind the Scanner, remember we have a special show tomorrow night. Check the details on the Behind the Scanner profile on G+, please. So, let's start with our first guest, Kendra from Tennessee. Oh, Kendra, you're muted.
Hi.
There you are.
We're going to have a sober audience tonight because nobody's going to mess up.
Yeah.
I'm sure our next guest will set the bar high. So, well, welcome, Kendra, to Behind the Scanner. Appreciate you taking the time joining us tonight. I know you as Agent K. Murray 13, but I have to say congratulations are in order because you were just recently married, weren't you?
Yes, I was in April.
Congrats.
Does that mean that you now have to change your name because you're no longer Murray? Is it going to be something else?
Well, there was a funny story about that. I actually was considering changing my name because of my profession. And I am a child and adolescent therapist and didn't want kids to recognize my name as me if they did start to play. So I was going to change my name, and then I got married, so now it doesn't matter. So I can leave it the way it is.
Ah, that's nice it worked out that way then. Yeah, definitely. So I got to ask, as a fellow married person, and maybe we're the only two on the show tonight, how long after you said I do was it before the first person asked you when you're going to have children?
That was before we even got married.
It's amazing how that works.
His mom wants like 3 kids. That was the number she told me, and I told her that was fine as long as they had 4 legs.
Nice, good answer, good answer. All right, well, speaking of life-changing events, let's just keep it on that topic. I know that you've got roots in another state, so what brought you to Tennessee, and where are you from originally?
Well, I'm from Iowa. I grew up in Iowa. I get made fun of all the time in Tennessee for my accent. But I moved to Kentucky for graduate school, and after that, my choices were to move home or move with a boy to Tennessee, so I did. And now we're married, so.
Ah, young love. You do the foolish things, but it worked out though, so that's good.
It did.
So I guess, is it safe to assume that you're going to be attending the Nashville Anomaly, or are you going to go to Portland for the primary?
That's something we're still discussing because we have a dog, and finding some place for her to go because she's crazy is an issue sometimes. So probably Nashville if we can. Otherwise, we'll be helping in other ways.
Gotcha.
Well, okay. Let's talk about something a bit tongue-in-cheek. On a scale of 1 to 10, how handy would you say you are, and how big is your toolbox?
I would say I'm pretty handy. Everyone laughs because my husband has a much smaller toolbox than I do. He has just basics, hammer, nails, that kind of stuff, and I've got power tools and all of that. My dad owns a cabinet refacing company, so once I got too old to go to daycare, I started working for him for $2 an hour building cabinets and countertops.
Nice. That's yeah. So
Impressive.
you know how to swing a hammer. You know, remember twice, cut once. I could have used you here just like a year ago when I was building out my kitchen. So, all right, before we continue, though, I need to confirm something because you put it down in sort of our pre-show interview thing, questionnaire, that I find a little bit interesting. So, in order to play Ingress longer, I guess most people will go out and buy 1 or 2 external battery packs. But you actually purchased something else, slightly larger, to enable yourself to play longer. What was that?
Well, I purchased an electric car. I decided that it was a smart investment because I drive a long ways to work every day anyways, and our farm that we have has an electric car charger right there in the middle of it. So I bought an electric car, and it's been awesome. At times I get 300 miles to the gallon because when it does run out of electricity, it runs on gas, so I don't get stuck anywhere.
So wait, I've got to ask a follow-up on that. Was it pre-planned that you're going to get the car first, or how did you get the electric refilling station there?
Well, the charger's just been there. The city put it there a year or so ago. And the charging, everyone thinks having an electric car means you have to have a special outlet and a special charger. And really, it comes with the little thing that plugs into the car, and I plug it into a regular outlet in my garage.
Interesting. All right.
That's really cool. Yeah, and well, before we continue in this electric matters, for everyone watching, remember you can submit questions for our guest. If you are watching YouTube, you can go and click in the banner at the bottom of the video that says "Be part of the conversation." From there, you just click the square grid menu icon in the upper right and select Q&A, and that's it. So, one thing I am always curious is how you learn how to play the game when you signed up 2 years ago. Did it take you a bit to figure out how to move the arrow on the screen?
I figured out the walking part pretty quickly, but there was a high-level resistance player in my area because I was in Moorhead, Kentucky in graduate school. And all the portals were blue, and I was green. So I'd go hack them, and on the fire department, I sat down there 3 days until I'd hack it and it'd be burnout because I thought I was attacking the portal when I hacked it. So I did that for 3 days in a row before I learned about bursters and realized that I could actually attack it with bursters and that hacking wasn't doing anything. I thought it was because it would decay, so I thought I was making a difference, but I wasn't.
So, of the many cool things about Ingress, one is that players have a number of options in terms of gameplay. How would you describe your game, and what aspects of the game did you enjoy the most?
I think my game has changed over time. It's evolved to fit the environment I'm in, just like anybody else's has. When we moved to Johnson City, there was a lot of blue everywhere, so we kind of took over. And then there was nothing. There was just green. There was no chance for AP. It was a blanket of green constantly. So we had to kind of change our strategy and figure out what we were going to do because recharging everything was not helpful for anybody. So we kind of created a little area where there could be back and forth downtown. And now it's completely opposite. Johnson City is completely blue. We haven't been able to get a foothold, so we have a whole different plan of attacking on certain days to try to diminish the blue so our players and their players can work on leveling up.
Have you think on a change of factions, maybe?
Definitely not.
Good answer. Good answer. Yeah. Stay green. Stay green. So with things being kind of difficult like that in the city, is what's the hardest medal I guess that you've had to earn to date?
The hardest medal that I've had to earn, surprisingly, is the unique caps one because Hunter and I are always playing together. So it's at first we started this thing where, oh, well, we're going to cap every other one. But that turned into a problem when we would go back and we couldn't remember who had capped what last time. So we changed our strategy to one person's going to cap the entire town, and next time we come back, the other person's going to cap the entire town. And that's helped our numbers, but still everything we do is shared. So if I cap something, he has an equal number of caps.
Well, since you kind of play together like that, and now that you also have the electric car, how many hours a week do you think you're actually playing Ingress?
Hopefully my supervisor isn't watching, but probably 20 hours a week, maybe. Most of my time is on the weekends, obviously, but I only work 4 days a week. I work 4 10-hour days, so Friday is my day to go play while Hunter's at work. And then, like today, I had a conference call. To me, a conference call means get in my car and hack and play Ingress while my phone is on speakerphone on mute.
Oh, I'm going to have to remember that one. Yeah, that's a good tip.
Well, I don't think that it is a secret that your husband is an Ingress player too. Do you work together and try to keep similar stats, or do you have a friendly rivalry and try to gain more of everything?
That kind of goes back and forth based on where we're at with points. I actually pulled ahead of him last week, and we're both just AP away from 14 at this point. So he has a little bit more availability for AP than I do because he works in Bristol, that's green and blue back and forth, and I work in Kingsport, which is pretty much always green. So he doesn't have the farming ability, but I don't have the AP ability. And when we get close to the next level, we tend to fight for AP, but otherwise it's pretty even.
So in AP is very even. So levels are 2, you are the same level?
Yeah, we're both 13. I think I'm only like 200,000 AP ahead of him.
So the run for the next level is going to be a fair challenge, or are you going to try to take advantage of your that you are all surrounded by blue?
Well, I've been hacking the past week like crazy so I can get enough gear, and he's downstairs watching this, so he's going to find out too. That tomorrow when I am not at work and he is, I'm going to try to hit 14.
Nice. Sneaky leveling. I like it.
Yeah. Well, sorry, man. If you had to pick one experience that sum up your English experience in a nutshell, what would it be?
It'd definitely be my hardest Ingress experience. Hunter and I were traveling to a regional event in Atlanta, and on our way there we were rear-ended by a semi and pushed into 2 other cars. It was a pretty bad accident, and it was rough. We're still suffering. This was in October, and we're still having to go to the doctor and have treatments for our injuries. And it was just crazy. Like, we contacted the group we were supposed to be meeting, telling them we were in an accident, we weren't going to be there on time. And within minutes of me doing that, I had people from all over asking me if we were okay, the resistance asking if we were okay, people that I didn't really know that had reached out and asked if we needed anything and what they could do. And they were great. They made sure we got out of the hospital. They made sure that we had a 24-hour pharmacy to go to. And they shuttled us around the next day. That way we didn't have to drive because we weren't sure if our car was drivable at that point. They also looked over the car and checked and make sure it wasn't going to explode on our way home. So the community, definitely the community is my favorite part because you can have Ingress players, but they're also your friends. They're a lot more than just players in a game that you play.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ingress is awesome in that way. Yeah, I think Ingress in general is great, but the community part is awesome.
Well, speaking of the community part, are you willing to take some questions from the community part?
Why not?
All right. So we got a number of them. We'll start with this guy. Let's see. His name is Hunter Cook. He shares the same last name as you, so you might know him. He wants to know, do they eat anything other than corn in Iowa?
Well, no, it's just corn in every way. We put corn in our cars, we put corn in our mouth. Like, if there's a place you can put corn, we've probably done it.
There you go. It's also the birthplace of the game Cornhole, correct? Beanbags, tossing them in. There you go. And for people watching out there, if you submit a question, if you could do us a favor and tag the person you want to ask it to at the front, so at Kendra or at Phill, that would help us out. There's a question here, I have no idea who it's for, so we're going to move on. Z Tavares wants to know, in relation to your electric car, is it a Tesla?
No, I couldn't afford a Tesla, although they're really cool. I have a Chevy Volt, so it has about a 35, 40-mile range before the electricity runs out and you switch to gas.
Gotcha. I guess he's saying the Tesla has a nice big screen to display the Intel map on in the center console. So that's one advantage. All right, let's see here. What cities are on your Ingress bucket list?
Is all of them an answer? Because
you have to pick three. So let's go with what are your top three?
I don't even know. I like to go to the little tiny ones where there's just the seed portals, and because they make for great anchor spots. So finding those seed portals that no one else has been to is one of my favorite things.
All right. There's probably, see, I used to live in Tennessee as well, and actually in Wisconsin, the Midwest. So there's probably a lot of small little seed towns like that around.
Especially in Kentucky.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, how about this? This is a good one. So, where were you when you reached level 8, and how did you react when you did so?
I was visiting Johnson City before we moved down here, and that's actually how I met one of the first blue players that I met here. We were attacking downtown, and it was being put back up as we were doing it, and that's when I hit 8. And then they walked by, and we chatted and got to know them, and they're like still around playing, and we still get together every now and again.
That's cool. Do you know what? Do you remember the? Well, obviously you remember the agent name. Who's the agent that you met and what?
It was Ace of Spades and Haiti.
Okay. So if they're watching, shout out to them. You got a question from Rob Trice. He wants to know, how happy are you to finally be ahead of former points leader and infamous agent Sith138?
I'm going to take a deep breath because that's not the question I thought he was going to ask. It's very exciting because I told Hunter that I was going to beat him when he was a level 11. I said I was going to level up before him, and then he just went crazy and like got all the levels in 2 days. So now being ahead of him is pretty awesome.
Nice. All right, I'm trying to look for something here because I remember it being brought up and mentioned, and I don't know that we touched on it too much, except for you just touched on it now. When you moved to the area, was it a Resistance player that took you around and showed you the game, or sort of showed you how to play?
When I first started in Kentucky, the Resistance player that owned all the portals, we actually got to know each other pretty well and hung out, and he took me and taught me how to play the game and helped me level up, and it was pretty awesome. He helped a lot, and I got to know all the Resistance players pretty well, and we helped each other.
That's cool. It's nice to see that cross-faction stuff working out like that. Because at the end of the day, you know, we're just human beings. We're somebody to someone, so nice to see that. All right. Well, I think that's enough of the viewer questions, so let's just move on then. Mr. Jorge.
Let's move on to our behind the scanner tradition. For better or worse, we give every guest, at the end of their interview, 60 seconds to talk about whatever they want, or give a shout to whoever they want. So, whenever you are ready, you have your 60 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
I think I'd just like to say thank you to all the local players that help out, even the Resistance for mixing it up and keeping us on our toes. And the fun things that happen in our comms. They had a Resistance sing-along yesterday in our comms, so that was pretty awesome. But just all the players that help come out, play, get involved in events, help organize, like Angry Hippie and Sith138 down in North Carolina. They're always helpful and coming up, helping our area, so we go down and help their area.
Anything else?
You still got like 30 seconds. You can go.
Yeah.
Keep going. Don't stop.
Say hello to your husband that is down there.
Oh yeah, I guess I should give a shout out to psychologist downstairs.
There you go. There you go. That works.
Kendra,
right.
Thank you very much for being with us tonight. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kendra. And stick around for the after special Behind the Scanner After Dark show that we do after everything goes. Don't leave yet.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. If everyone knew what happened there, oh my God.
Yeah, we know a lot of people, a lot of codes. Keep everything hush hush. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Before we get to our second guest, it is time for the weekly truth. This week we have Jose Antonio Rey as almost every week. So please join us from Lima, Peru, and to catch up with the latest Ingress storyline. So please welcome our expert from Operation Essex, Jose.
Well, hello everyone. It's great to be here again as every week here behind the scanner to share with you what's been going on the Niantic storyline. This week we have had 3 main events. The first was it was a special feeling that Dr. Edgar Allan Wright, who we had a couple of weeks ago, had about Steinleitman. Dr. Edgar Allan Wright was seeing a glyph, one of the new glyphs that we saw in the document that was handed out to Susanna Moyer, and he had a vision of some events that he had lived with Steinleitman. So that's a very interesting read. You need to take a look at it. So to do that, please make sure to go to the Niantic Project Google Plus page. It's the Niantic Project. You're going to be able to find all of our information. There's a new post each day, so please catch up on that. It's a pretty good read, as I said. Now, on the other hand, we had three Tycho images popping out on the internet. We don't know what this may be. It may be a new novel, it may be a new comic, it may be a new graphic novel. But it appears that, in fact, Tycho still believes that all of this is real, and it's not as he claimed in some past posts. He really does think that everything is real, everything exists, and maybe he's feeling something new. He's sensing something that's going to happen soon. And finally, we have a leaked document from IQ Tech. IQ Tech was talking about the latest Go Ruck challenge that took place on Washington, D.C. We don't know what exactly Go Ruck is and what Go Ruck is doing for any of the companies, whether it's IQ Tech, BNIA, Visser, or Hulong. It's just that it seems that Go Ruck is trying to find new agents that are going to serve for any of these companies. Our leads indicate that it may be for IQ Tech. However, we are not entirely sure because Go Ruck has not reported any results back to IQ Tech. So this may mean they may have a double agent. We are not entirely sure what's going on here. The NIA and Visser Technology were watching on this latest Washington, D.C. event, and apparently they have already gotten the best agents. So stay tuned. There's going to be a new Go Ruck challenge in Persepolis, Portland. So if you think you're willing to accept the challenge and do what it takes to become one of the best agents for one of these companies, or we don't know what may happen after, you can just sign up for the Go Ruck challenge on Persepolis, which is next week. So stay tuned for that. I'm entirely sure that we're going to have a lot more news about GoRuck and what's going on with them. What's going on? Why haven't they turned in the best agents list to IQ Tech? That's really intriguing me. So stay tuned. Make sure to follow the Niantic project page on Google+, and you can join our community at operationessex.org.
Thank you, Jose. So, quick question for you. Do you know where IQ Tech, their headquarters, is based out of?
I do not remember off the top of my head. The information should be on the wiki we have. You can find a wiki link at operationessex.org, but I'm not entirely sure where they based.
I believe they actually have an office in Arlington, Virginia. So,
Yeah.
just pointing that out.
Go there.
Interesting. Yeah, DARPA's here. The DC Anomaly was here. Okay. Anyway, no, thank you. There's a lot going on with the storyline. The Tycho stuff sort of came out of nowhere. Interesting to see. I guess confident is Hank in the images and what they're doing. So we'll see where that goes. It goes visions, I guess, sort of lead us to. All right. So I was listening to Jose, and I wasn't setting up the next part, so give me a second here. We are going to go do the thing that everybody loves. It gets redeemed faster than a 2-for-1 at, I don't know. Where'd you buy 2-for-1 stuff at? There we go. There we go. The Coda Show. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Limited redeemable swag. It could be XMPs. It could be Power Cubes. It could be, who knows, viruses, ADAs. We're not really sure. You kind of get them. We post them. You redeem them. Enjoy. It's kind of like a blind date. Just walk in expecting, not knowing what to expect, and you're either repulsed by what you see or it's love at first sight. So let's hope this code is love at first sight. There's only one. I see our next guest is diligently trying to transpose it. He's smiling and laughing now. You have to let us know what you got. I'm always curious. I should redeem these ahead of time, but
yeah,
I think
200 XM, 2 portal shields, 1 resonator level 5.
You typed it that fast? That's impressive.
And a level 1 XMP burster.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice. Like I said, it's all
100
random
AP
stuff.
and level 1 XMP burster.
Well, 100 AP is worth it. That's 100 less that you'll need. So,
Yeah.
all right.
I remember that I can redeem a passcode on the Intel map, so I did it. For the first time, I redeemed a behind the scanner password.
There you go. I need to start doing that.
Yeah. Well,
It's
you
probably
know
not fully
what
redeemed.
you are gonna get, man.
I know. It's probably all fully redeemed now. So, all right, let's keep the train moving along. There's not going to be an Inside the Scanner segment tonight because there isn't really much to report on. The features, the capsule, none of that I don't think has been activated yet on the back end. So, kind of where we left off last week is where we're still at this week in regards to the scanner and any sort of enhancements. Still can't rearrange anything. You can still select them, but nothing else really happens. So. I guess in breaking news, the Resistance just landed 3 shards on their target portal, giving them the point lead. So, if you're kind of on the fence and going to an anomaly, every body counts. Every buddy counts as well. I would definitely encourage you, if you can have the means to travel and go. Portland is the primary site for the anomaly coming up on June 20th. Your factions need you. We had a great turnout in DC. Big thanks to everybody on both sides that came from literally all over the world. That sort of support it really means a lot. So it's the people who plan it and put these on. So consider that. That'll be the, I guess, Inside the Scanner segment for this week. So with that, let's go. Let's see who this next guy is. I see him laughing. Bald head, big beard. Trying to lay some knowledge on us.
Yeah, I'm gonna introduce our second guest, but I want him to cheer up the Resistance because We have 3 shards, and that's awesome. And well, Jose, that is resistance too. Ha! We are majority right now, so you can shout and cheer for the resistance. And our second guest is Phil. And if you don't know him, you're really lost in this game, guys. So, welcome, Phil.
Hey, how you doing?
Wow, man, that was a hell of an introduction. I gotta say, Jose really pumped you up.
Oh, we've been in some hangouts together for a while now, so.
That's all cool. So, I mean, honestly, I don't even know where to begin with you. We'll just start with one of the crazy facts you put in our little questionnaire. I guess only half of you is good at getting things off the top shelf because one arm is longer than the other. Is that true?
Yeah, I have. I don't have an issue with getting things off the top shelf in general because I have monkey arms. So I just got long arms in general. But I I completely separated my shoulder and destroyed the joint on top of it a couple years ago. And so my right arm actually is about 2 inches longer than my left arm now, and only moves really well in like certain directions until I get it fixed. So. One of the joys of not having health insurance back when I was younger.
Well, you know, I think you're gonna have to provide proof for us. So if you can take a picture holding 2 Dairy Queen receipts with outstretched hands like this, that'd be phenomenal.
I think I only have. I think all mine are actually out in my pickup truck, and are from the Salt Lake City area because I have to provide proof that I don't spoof from my hometown. So.
What? So okay, I'm gonna go completely off script. Where the hell? How did Dairy Queen become like the default proof of not spoofing?
So the whole thing with that, as my roommate walks behind in the background, it came from the Enlightenment clearing lanes for something, and my buddy Dwayne Maxwell had been talking with their guy and was like, I don't know, that lane clearing seemed like it was kind of sketchy. And the guy said, no. The agent promised me he was there. We know that he absolutely was there, and he sent you wanted to send us a receipt or a photo of him at the portal, and so he goes, yeah, sure. And so the guy who supposedly went up and got the links sent a receipt from a Dairy Queen that was like 150 miles away from where the portal was that had the links that he took down, and it was within like 10 minutes of the time that the links had died. So he's like, yeah, there's my proof. I didn't spoof. This is my Dairy Queen receipt. And so we kind of all, a bunch of us heard that story, and it's just been a running joke forever that we always have to have a Dairy Queen receipt with us, and preferably the older and farther away from where you actually did something, the better.
See, I think that's another missed sponsorship opportunity. If Niantic would partner with Dairy Queen, you show your scanner, you get like 10%, 15% off your purchase. I think that would go a long way.
Yeah, you know, on BAF trips, if we pass a Dairy Queen, a lot of it, like out in the middle of some like podunk town, and there's a Dairy Queen there, we generally have to stop. It's just one of those things.
All right, well let's continue on. I'm kind of getting hungry now for it, man. Their blizzards are so tasty, but
yeah, they really are.
I hope you came prepared tonight, though, because we weren't kidding when we said that we wanted to hear one of your slam poems when we found out that you're a slam poet. So the mic is yours, sir. Take it away.
All right, just a fair warning. I've not performed in a couple of years. A, and then B, I've believed for most of my life that everything that everybody does in life has a story. And my poems are stories that I don't tell at bars or parties, so they're kind of dark and kind of sad. So just a fair warning to everybody out there on YouTube right now, and everyone else, if you don't want to. Sometimes they get sad, and this one especially is something that's really close to me. So I tear up with it sometimes. So just kind of, if you're sensitive to that, just prepare yourself. You told me about the trees. We were children then, standing around the trunk of one, you pointed at a root. saying you couldn't understand how something so small could hold up something so big. I guess you were just too young to realize that roots that grow deep, spreading throughout the ground, they intertwine themselves with each other to grip onto the dirt, bringing nutrients to the rest of a body, holding it up so it can grow big and strong. And as we grew older, we used to climb them. Our favorite time was the fall. We used to jump up and down on those branches, making the leaves drop to the ground more quickly so your dad could rake them into piles. We were best friends. But I could never tell you that. It was the one thing I ever held back in a relationship in which we shared everything, and then your family moved away. We started writing letters at the encouragement of our parents, just simple things at first, an occasional, hey, how you doing? I wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. But once, when we were in high school, I wanted to dig deeper. I wanted to let you know that I still thought of you as my best friend. I wondered if you ever thought of me, about those times that we had when we were kids, hanging out in the branches of those trees. I wanted to let you know that your tree was the biggest one in the neighborhood now, and for some stupid reason, I felt proud of that. Like that love that we gave it when we were children allowed it to have the strength that it needed to grow so big and strong. But you didn't care about them anymore. You said something about your veins, about how you found a way to make yourself feel like you used to. Like back in those days when we were kids, hanging out in the branches of those trees, I didn't understand. A few years later, the letters stopped. It wasn't anything I did on purpose. I just didn't know how to talk to you anymore, and you no longer seemed interested in the relationship of a childhood friend. And then your tree fell over. Knocked down by the wind, its roots were exposed. They looked like hands, still trying to grip onto what dirt that they could, trying to hold up something that no longer wanted to stand on its own. They cut up your tree. I tried to count the rings. I thought that if I could know their number, I would forever remember the memories they held, but there were just too many. So I called you. I wanted to let you know that I finally figured out the danger you've been placing yourself in. I wanted to bring you to me, buy you a plane ticket, just go be kids for a little while, build a treehouse or something, get somewhere where we could escape those stupid problems where we put ourselves in when we're adults, but you weren't in a place to answer. Your mom, she had your phone. I could hear the tears in her eyes before I even said my name. She told me you died. That they found you in the gutter, arms and legs spread wide, just like the branches on your tree, your hands, the roots still clenching that poison they pumped into your veins. Didn't you know it collapsed years ago, no longer proud to stand for you, and that there is still a hole in the ground where your tree used to be? That's it.
Wow.
Damn. That was intense.
I'm not just a big bald guy who works construction for a living.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Nicely. I have no idea how the fuck to transition off of that now. So. Wow.
I warned you. It's pretty sad. So.
Well, that was good.
Let's talk. Let's. Oh my God. I have to move from these trends and talk us a little bit about the pony riders. If anyone
lighten the mood of the pony
anyone
riders.
out there is not familiar with them, please let us know.
The Pony Riders are actually the reason why I play Ingress. They're my friend Mo, who's been a guest on here before. I've known him for years before Ingress came out, and one day I ran into him, and he told me about that the Pony Riders were these guys who go out. They like to travel places and to the middle of nowhere and stand somewhere and hit a button on their phone and laugh the entire time. And I love road trips, and Ingress gave me a great reason to go out and have road trips all the time. So I saw that, and when I was, I think, level 5 was when I went out and on a road trip and went out and threw my first mega field. And had it not been for that, I probably would not be playing Ingress. I probably would not have played Ingress for as long as I have. I love going out and going on trips, and so when work allows it now, or sometimes, when we're trying to bury a shard in the middle of Salt Lake City, we'll all go out and spend 3 days driving for work, to and from work, and then get home from work and just go, and just drive for 3 or 4 hours, throw a link, close the field, go. A lot of the times, one of our favorite things to do, and how we got our nickname, is we'll try to throw the field while the Enlightened are still on the way. We'll try to rethrow our field while the Enlightened are still on the way back from taking it down. So they'll be about halfway back home from Salt Lake City, so they've just barely passed that point of no return, and then blue goes. The same exact field goes back up. And they did that for about 4 days straight before an Enlightened guy on comm said, man, these guys are just a bunch of one-trick ponies. So he kind of named us for us.
That's a great story. So, are these great pony riders planning on going to Portland Anomaly this June 20th?
I know some are. Some are going to be on the ground. Waller, my roommate, he's one who's going to be heading up there and hanging out at the Portland Anomaly. I know that my friends in Worst, see our flag in the background, they're all going to be going up there too. I unfortunately can't make it because of work, but it made me realize when I was thinking about that yesterday that this is the first Anomaly since Minotaur in which I will not be involved in some way. Yeah. Minotaur in Salt Lake City was my first Anomaly experience, and then continued moving on and just kind of motored from there. And I just love Anomalies and love going to them, and them and Anomalies and big fields are my 2 favorite things.
I was thinking, why I find this guy in every chat I am. Now I have my eyes.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because you mentioned to us that you were part of Blue Water, I guess until it disbanded, and how it and the disbanding had kind of effect on the Resistance as a whole. Can you elaborate on that? What did you mean by that? What was the effect?
So Blue Water was a group of like-minded people who, after Magnus, we wanted to win. We wanted to win Anomalies, and we wanted to win everything about that had to do with. We wanted to be good at everything that had to do with Anomalies. And so it was myself and some other like-minded people from across the world and the Resistance who joined together, and we started planning. We started figuring out how and analyzing strategies and things like that of how to make this augmented reality game. How to make strategies behind that. And how things can work on the ground like that. And so we can, for just over a year, we pushed for that and continued doing that. And the effect that it had, in my opinion, on the Resistance is everybody's more prepared. We wouldn't be nearly as prepared and we wouldn't have so many people knowing what to do on the ground and kind of just go, okay, yeah, sure. All right, so there's an Anomaly that I'm going to, and these are these things that I can read up on that other people have, or that there's an Anomaly in my area. And that's one of the things that we really found, is that local anomalies really, a lot of people, like especially in like out of the way places, secondary sites, they have no idea what's going on, what an anomaly is, or they've heard of it before, but they don't really quite understand what they're like, how much work goes into it. And so we were trying to help people out and do that with it. If that makes any sense, I'm not sure. I just kind of rambled.
No, that makes sense. I understand.
And through that, I had some of my best friends that I've ever made in this entire game came through that. And it kind of, for me, I got really involved with it as kind of an unknown agent. I was known in the Western United States, but I wasn't really known across the nation or in Europe at all. And now I have way too many Hangouts, even though I left a ton of them a few months ago. I still I have way too many Hangouts. But without those, I wouldn't know great people like you guys.
So is that why you stepped back from doing global operations?
I stepped back from doing global operations because I felt like I was just burnt out, especially during recursion and Terratus. You know, there was an anomaly. There was an anomaly every single week. There were sites that needed help every single week, and I was a dispatcher. I was a ground player, and I just couldn't really. I realized that I hadn't had a Saturday off as far as anomalies went for like 3 months at the end of Enteritus, and was like, I need to take at least like a week break, guys. Like, I need something. And so we kind of begged. I kind of talked to some other people about it, and who had connections into Niantic, and they had kind of begged Niantic, and you know, they kind of ignored us, and then finally recently they've been kind of cutting them back to where it's just a bunch of sites on one day. And I think that's a lot better for the game in general, because it lets everybody kind of feel like they're, you know, it's only these 2 main sites and then like a bunch of other places that are tied to them, like these 3 main sites and a bunch of places that are tied to them. And so it's, rather than being this long drawn out thing of every single week in this huge grind, it's just these 2 big pushes or these 3 big pushes that we have to do. And so I definitely think this is a lot easier. Sorry,
Okay.
I got Jose was holding the sign up for me, but I didn't quite catch it.
So, what is it like supporting a global operation? Can you talk about a little bit without saying any secret, you know? So, talking about a little bit the time, the planning, the resources that though this kind of operations have in it.
It's the Ingress long game. It really is. That's kind of how it stands and how it works. It's depending upon what you're trying to do for that operation. Sometimes you're out in the field and it's just, you know, that one day. You got to plan for that one day to be available. But then if you're in the planning side of it, it's months and months and months of preparation. Talking to this group or the other one. Never having any sleep. You just kind of, your brain's always on and you're always running. At least for me, that's how it was. And I was tied to my phone. I've had gone out on dates with girls. I would go out on dates with girls, and something would happen. I'd get a message from Wather or from somebody else, and they'd let me know, like, hey, there's something that needs your attention here, and you know, it's just. You just have to drop everything, and you have to be ready to drop everything. Because if you don't, and you can't drop everything to focus on it, things are going to fall apart. And then it's amazingly fast. Things can unravel, and how quickly that they just go downhill and just snowball out of control if you don't just kind of like, if somebody just doesn't pay attention to them and just go, oh wait, no, guys, we do need to have that link happen, or we do need that link killed, and if you. Or even just, you know, you forget to talk to somebody about it. And so you tell them. I've had it happen to me a couple of times. I've done it once, and I know a couple other people who have too, where they tell somebody, hey, we heard you're going somewhere. We might need you to go clear this blocking link for us. And then so you think, you don't realize that you never gave them the intel link for where that blocking link is. And they just go, oh, okay, I guess, well, he never talked to me again, so I guess he doesn't need my help. And suddenly it's go time, and you're supposed to be moving. You're supposed to be moving a shard across the country, and nope. Oh, whoops! That link won't let us do that, and so you have to kind of throw your hands up and go, okay, yeah, sure, all right, let's move this around and get things going and get people going from one place to another to try and figure out where we can move this shard now.
Yeah, I remember those first shards. The infamous artifacts. Nobody sleeps.
Oh yeah.
Not at all.
There was no sleep ever. I remember sitting when there were artifacts in India, sitting when it was 3 blocks away, and just there's nothing else I could do but just just looking at staring at the intel map, typing in a Hangout, staring at the intel map, typing in a Hangout some more, and just going, it's why does it have to be literally outside of this guy's door? Or why does our only lane to the target is literally there's an enlightened player who can just walk out his front door, go to that portal, and link across the street to another portal, and it blocks us. And just sitting there and just kind of crying on the inside and wishing I could go to sleep but not being able to.
Yeah. Well, guys, as you can see, there's a lot of things that you can ask this guy. So, if you want to do that, and you are watching this on YouTube, you have to click on the banner at the bottom of the video, and there it says be part of the conversation. From there, you just have to click on the square grid menu icon in the upper right, and that's it. You select Q&A, and you can ask Phil in this moment whatever you want. Mr. Andrew.
Yes, sir. So, Phil, you don't seem like a guy who's shy about sharing your opinions on anything or your emotions.
Absolutely not.
So, all right, if you had to list 3 positive aspects and 3 negative aspects of Ingress, what would they be?
3 positive aspects of Ingress. It was brilliant how the game was built to force a community to come up around it. Generally, it takes a game usually 5 or 6 years to have as tight-knit, or not even as tight-knit, but just as large of a following and community as Ingress got in its first 6 months. The fact that you have to build level 8 in order to build a level 8 portal, the easiest way to do that is to get 8 people who are level 8 all together. Just kind of, it makes you go out and meet people and wander around. The number 2, I would say, is exploring your local surroundings and your surroundings that are farther away. The places that I've been because of this game are unlimited, and I would never have been there, or I would have never stopped there, more likely, and it would have flown by and just on my way in my normal time. And then the third, I would have to say, while they are, in my opinion, fairly slow about it, Niantic does do a fairly good job about being open to the players. I am one of the people who has been the loudest complaints over the years about how much that I think Niantic doesn't sometimes listen to their players, but they do sometimes do it, and when they do it, it shows that they really tried to improve upon what the players really wanted. Other times, it's the hashtag supposed to whine. That's my first one that I think could be improved about Ingress. The Resistance a couple series ago started using supposed to win as a hashtag on posts related to the Anomaly series, and this series I've been posting things that are supposed to whine. Because it does kind of seem like now the community's kind of gotten to that point where it's in that growing stage, and they've always kind of have, but and it's the downside of Niantic being so open and available to their players is there's people who have the ins and outs, and there's people who don't, and if you don't have one of those ins and outs, all you can do is just make a big stink about it on G+. And I am one of those people, I'll be the first to admit, who makes a big stink about stuff on G+, because I know I'll be heard. And I've been blocked on G+ because of that by people who work for Niantic, but on the same time, I am someone who I see something that I believe is wrong, or I believe that is not within the purview of what someone's job title is, and I'll call them out on it, and I'll say, that's not something you're supposed to do, or that's not the way that you should probably go about that. And my first gut reaction is generally to do it in a mocking way, and then then once I get attention, I'll switch over. But
I was gonna say that you're
there's a lot of me.
The first shot that you fire isn't really the way that you just portrayed it just now.
I have a bear mentality when it comes to just I'm gonna go after you, and you know the most recent time that happened, it involved a group that I'm part of, and I just went after it. You know, we had been called out publicly, and so I felt like the floodgate had been opened, and it was fine for me to call out other people publicly inside of that same thing. And once both of our heads cooled and we talked about it a little bit, I told him how I felt and why I disagreed with what he said, with what he had said, and how he had gone about saying it. And you know, it didn't end. It didn't end the way that I wanted it to. It did end peacefully, but between him and I, we don't. Between that person and I, we no longer talk. And I burned a bridge there, but I also hope that in burning that bridge, that person no longer goes or thinks twice, or not so much thinks twice, but thinks about how they approach things and things that they themselves have been approached with from players. I'm trying to not name names or describe the situation exactly.
I mean, we're kind of getting off topic a little bit, and
yeah,
maybe we'll just end the 3-and-3 question and move on. But yeah, it's the one ironic thing about the game personally, and I'm going to answer one of your questions, I guess, is that you talked about community and the closeness and the people and the relationships and all that, but a lot of the communication that happens over text. I mean, you have some roommates that play, but be it whether it's Hangouts or Slack or GroupMe or G+, and text as a medium to communicate by default just really sucks. And so a lot of times people can't pick up on sarcasm or the intent of a message, or sometimes you do intend it just to be mean. But I think that in and of itself lends to some of these problems where people are in a mindset that they're maybe receiving a message incorrectly, they're interpreting something that's not there, and it sort of leads to these mountains being made out of molehills sometimes. Not all times. I'm not trying to make an excuse, across the board, but I've definitely seen it happen. So,
I'll say that 90% of my things are because of the memes that I've posted. If you look at my G+ or stuff like that, they're ones that I found to be funny. The most recent ones, though, it was kind of a straw that broke the camel's back thing. The floodgates opened, and I was just like, all right, fine. You know what? You want to call us out for this? I'm just going to start calling you out for what you've been doing. And it was a back and forth thing for a while. But yeah, if I was unblocked on G+, I would apologize for the way that I went about it. But I'm still blocked by them. So I can't. But hopefully they're watching now. They said they did attend, so maybe if they're attending and they're watching now, that they'll see that I'm that I would like to apologize for the way that I went about trying to talk to them.
That's the other part of the game. People are so vested into it that you want to defend your own, you want to protect your own, you want to stand up for what you believe in and what's right, and people learn from the game too. And so I don't think I don't want to say you learned in terms of you did something wrong and now you're not going to do it again. It's more of growing, and you realize, hey, maybe I shouldn't have done that. So kudos to you for being a big person and standing up and saying you're wrong. Seriously. So.
Well, hopefully somebody's gonna tell him, and he can see this on YouTube. So. With all this information, there are people that is happy and really happy that you discover Ingress, and there are several that are not. So, how did you discover the game?
Like I said earlier, my friend Mike Anderson, Mo, ran into him at a coffee shop one day, and there were 3 portals there. He was hacking them, and I said, what are you doing on your phone? Like, you're never somebody who just sits there on their phone and ignores everyone. And he told me about Ingress. After that, I was just hooked. It was still during the beta. He didn't have any codes left that he could give out, so I requested a code. That was about it was January during the beta, and then I waited and waited and waited, and Mike kept on forgetting to send me. He had a code that he had in a draft for an email, and he kept on forgetting to send it to me. And so, and I just missed the email from Niantic that said that I had a code in February. So I waited until June when I ran into Mike again, and yeah, he finally ended up giving it to me, and giving me the code. And then I checked back through my email and saw that I had the code from Niantic in February of that year. I was like, oh gosh, no. So yeah, after that, I leveled up real quick, and the rest was kind of history. Rediscovered my love of road trips, that's for sure. That's one thing that's always going to keep me playing this game, is being able to go out and just go hang out in places, and drive through the desert in the middle of nowhere, go up to the corners of Utah, the sun tunnels, which we have a sign for in our house. We've gone out there so often. Yeah, it's just one of those things where once I started playing, I was hooked, and I don't think it's going to be a long time before I'm not hooked on it anymore.
All right, well, speaking of things that you're hooked on, I'm hooked on our viewer questions because I find them extremely interesting, especially the ones that we're receiving for you tonight. So, you want to try to answer some of these?
Yeah, sure. I haven't. I'm not watching the YouTube thing, so I've not seen any of them, except for you did post one from my roommate, which Grant, you have to talk to Carter about where your money is, because he was given cash, so he's supposed to send you money now.
Yeah.
The question is, where's my money from Grant Barney? So Grant, talk to Carter. He's got it. So this isn't so much a question. It is more of a statement from the account iShard Ingress, which I'll get to in a second. It is no question. Just need to say that was beautiful, man. I'm assuming in regards to your slam poem. Get back into it. You've got a gift, and it's wrapped beautifully. So I also echo that. That was pretty awesome.
Thanks.
And I'll share with you why on a personal level too after the show. But yeah, iShard Ingress. So I'm gonna hijack the show real quick because there's something new that happened in like the last couple days. Hilarious site. If you can't laugh at yourself, then you gotta kind of reevaluate yourself. It's memes basically, I guess. Centered around Ingress. There's a BTS one, but here's one that just came by a little bit ago. 6-year-old son of local Ingresser, surprisingly prolific hacker at 4 a.m. So it's stuff like that. Fight over volatile breaks down after agents begin blasting Sanford and Son theme song. So yeah. Anyway, we'll get back to our show. We'll highlight them later. But let's see. Questions. Michael Wiley wants to know: does your Sun Tunnel arrow include a distance to the portal?
No, because it was on the ground as we were driving out to the sun tunnels. They put them in about 6 months ago, and in the 5 times I've gone out there since they put those signs in, I've always wanted one. And this one obviously was not struck by a vehicle or anything. It was just poorly placed inside the ground and was laying there, and I drove by it and was like, I'm going to take that sign. I kind of am one of those people who just kind of always will, like, if I see a sign laying on the ground, I will pick it up. Or I had this really bad habit when I was 21 and intoxicated where I would take mirrors off of parking garages.
Evil, man.
Yeah. So that sign, I decided, we were driving by it, and I took it, and so in our house it actually points to the west, to where the tunnels are. So every place that we move to that's the new rule. The sign has to point out to the west towards the sun tunnels.
Interesting. So the short answer is no. All right. So there's one question from Werther. He wants to know if you need another beer, but since you just took a swig of one, I think you're good there. How about we actually have a serious one, although I think you've already touched on it a little bit. This is from Redacted. Phill, what has been your favorite part of the game thus far?
My favorite moment in the scanner was when I was able to link and make field inside of. Sorry, my roommate's making fun of me behind me. My favorite moment was when I was able to link and close a field during U16. One of my favorite moments because it just was incredibly satisfying to finally be up there. We were trying forever with server lag issues and stuff like that, and it finally happened. But then a favorite moment aside from that, because I find it extremely funny that covering over half of Montana and Idaho and eastern Washington nets less MU than covering the state of Utah does. So it was just one of those like, yep, it's just a lot of cows. And then my favorite moment not inside of the scanner, Ingress wise, really has to be being part of Worst. They're the best people that I've met inside of this game, and the best people in that to just really to hang out with at an anomaly. I have more fun and more great times going out there and just hanging out with them, and it kills me that I can't be with them in Portland.
Speaking of making big fields and not netting any MU, again on Ice Shard Ingress, they've got layered over the United States Capitol building, and it yielded 0 MU. So I'm listening to what you're saying, but now I'm laughing on the side because I've got this up in the corner. So all right, let's move on. We've got one. Oh, actually, you know what? We had a question from Vicky Ellen from the UK. She wants to know, and this might set you off on a bit of a rant, so we're running long on time. Try to keep the answer short if you can.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. She would like to know what you think of, let's see here. Ask Phill whether he thinks private military portals should be in the game. So should private military portals be in the game?
Oh, man.
Portals on military bases, I'm assuming. Is that right?
Do you think he's going to be short
I go back
in this?
I go back and forth on it. So the fielder in me says yes because I am confident I can get somebody on that goddamn base. Or sorry, excuse me. The everyday player in me though says no. I don't think that they should be allowed. However, I do know that Niantic originally seeded portals on military bases, and I have myself been pissed when we had military base portals that were set in behind such high security that the guy could only get to them like maybe once a month, and he couldn't even get to it long enough to burn the portal out unless he put a VR heatsink on it. That portal got removed right before the last shards happened, or right before I think it was. I can't actually remember, but it got removed. I think it was during Enteritus. Shards were just about to come out, and suddenly we had a bunch of plans to try and move shards onto that, or try to field off of it, and suddenly it's gone. So I personally, I get really peeved when the other team uses them, but at the same time, we've thought about using them before too. So I say yes and no.
Yeah, those zero cell access portals, the secure portals. I mean, even if somebody's not doing it in your region, somebody from your faction somewhere has exploited that and done it. So it is interesting to see the little flare-ups that occur.
Now, there's a difference between zero cell portals and a portal you can't get to because of security. Most of those.
Yeah, you're true. Yeah, true.
We have ways to get through zero cell portals. Those are way easier than military security portals.
Very true. Very true. Very true. All right. I would be remiss if I didn't ask a question from one of your BFFs. So Mo wants to know. I hope this isn't him trolling, but I can never tell with that guy. So this is how he phrases the question. So Flaggate, why did you guys try to taunt the other side after getting your asses handed to you?
Flaggate occurred at the Pasadena anomaly, and it all occurred before the anomaly happened. Long story short, the Resistance had a green team's flag, and we were wandering around with it. An enlightened player took a very large offense to it, and rather than asking for it back, decided to make it a physical altercation. Blah blah blah. Joe Philly got involved, and later after the anomaly happened on G+. So we didn't feel like we didn't feel the need to taunt them afterwards. We felt the need to taunt this. Some people felt the need to taunt this specific guy who refused to apologize for tackling our player, and screamed that he just wanted and insisted that the people who had the flag originally still had it. And so it was just kind of a big thing that blew up, and I kind of found that the hashtag was really funny and kind of ran with it and made a bunch of memes for it. But yeah, we lost on the ground that day, but we still won at the end of the series. So I'm not sure exactly what Mo's trying to say.
I find myself asking that same question. I'm not really sure what Mo tries to say half the time anyway.
He's probably halfway into a bottle of wine by now. So.
All right. Well, let's end this on a less than serious question. David Delsberger. There you go.
What's DD?
DD, double D. He wants to know, how much time did you spend doing handstands as a kid?
I never could do them. I still can't to this day. I could never do handstands as a kid.
How about, how much time have you spent trying to do handstands as a kid?
Very little.
Okay.
Somebody who knows if I can't do something, I'm not like if I'm not good at it, I'm gonna keep on trying to do it. I've got better things to do. Especially as a kid, I was like, I can go run around over there instead of embarrassing myself doing handstands.
Oh, and a very important question from Michael Workington.
Wartarkin.
There you go.
He's a local, I kind of know how to say it.
All right. He wants to know if you can rub your belly and pat your head at the same time.
I can.
Again, we're gonna have to.
Not 4 beers deep, but I promise you I can sober.
All right. Fair enough. All right, we've kept you long enough, my man. I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah. Now, well, it's to your time to take 60 seconds from this show and say whatever you want to anyone you want. So, go, man.
I would like to thank all the members of Blue Water for teaching me how to be effective in what I try to do inside of this game. I would like to thank Worst for teaching me how drunk you can physically be at an anomaly and still kind of function. I'd like to thank the Pony Riders for teaching me how to see a lane. I'd like to thank Kelly and Alex and congratulate them on their baby that's coming soon. TAC West will always be my home. Trying to think of something else.
We don't really keep time. We just let you go and stop talking. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's better.
All right, my man.
Well, Phil, it's been a pleasure to have you here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. I'd say staying up, but you guys are actually from the U.S. this week, so we have everybody who's here like at a decent normal time for once. So
yeah,
crazy. Next week will be interesting though. So, all right, guys, that's all we've got for tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. And with that, I'll try to fumble around because I'm not prepared right now. Here we go. Oh, full screen.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. That damn Windows Media Player. My God.
I'm too lazy to start up my VLC. I've got Video LAN player. It's just
VLC.
I don't. My icon isn't on anywhere that I can reach. It's that I'm that lazy.
You know you can paste it on your desktop.
But I have to type, so it's between
Type?
clicking a single button right there.
You know, there's something that it is called mouse, and you click it, and that's it.
We have shortcuts now too.
But my icon for media player is much closer.
Oh my
All right.
god.